pals, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, and I got some interesting, sad, shocking, disappointing, yet not all unexpected news recently. Somebody sent me a link to an article that said that Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman will not be returning to Canada's Drag Race. Now, I'm not surprised by this because he got picked on quite hard over the first season. And although I don't feel I ever picked on Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman for things that he did on the show, I had opinions on what he did on the show as far as how he talked to some of the contestants or the judgments that he sent out. But it's a show. And I feel like on some level, there's always been a need for a Simon Cowell on a judging panel for a reality show. So because of that, I never really took anything that he did too personally. I never really let it bother me too much. The worst thing that I did, and I do feel badly for this in light of the article, was called Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman bus pants. But I'm sorry, but if you wear these pants on television, you got to be prepared for somebody to say something, I'm just saying. I mean, seriously, look at these. And these. And these. These, I'm sorry, I'm a comic. I am going to judge a judge just as harshly as I'm going to judge a contestant on a show, because it's a show, and what else are we supposed to do? Now, I mean, the bottom line for me was always, he's young, he's rich, he's on TV. What the hell does he care of anything I'm saying? But there were some things that were being said on the internet. This whole culture of bullying on the internet. We're supposed to be so enlightened. It's supposed to be the anti-bullying era. And yet, from the safety of our keyboards and the darkness of our lockdown, people have never felt better or more empowered to not just share an opinion, but vilify somebody. They're taking out a lot of anger that in a lot of cases may not even be about the show or what a person did on it. But by saying that Lawrence Cheney needs to go kill himself, or that any contestant on a show, like Nina Benina Brown, she wasn't responsible for Valentina going home. Valentina was responsible for Valentina going home. But none of Valentina's fans could accept that. What they thought was that Nina Benina Brown should go kill herself. They also have said that about at least one person every season on Drag Race. Now, a lot of those queens were queens of color as well. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, I'm saying that's unfortunate. I would say that that was racist if the majority of people saying what they're saying online were white. Unfortunately, we can't really test for that. I am going to say that one of the things that I've learned in listening to the dialogues on RuPaul's Drag Race is that people of color deal with a lot of stress that is absolutely unfathomable to white people and people of privilege. There are just things that most people of a financial class, of a race class, all of that deal with that, like someone like myself, I'm a 55-year-old white man when I'm not gorgeous. And I've never in my life been afraid to walk anywhere, afraid to go into a store, apply for a job, any of that. So over the years of watching Drag Race, I've really got my education on where a lot of this angry black woman mentality comes from. Where Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman was concerned, the last thing I thought of was that anyone was picking on him for race. But Crystal from Drag Race UK Season 1 mentioned on a tweet that, you know, oh great, pick on the black gay judge. And she called people out on it. And that made me feel badly because for me, I couldn't care less what color Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman is. He's a handsome young man. But it really opened my eyes when Crystal made that post, because there was a moment there where I thought, am I subconsciously picking on him because he is the black person? But Stacey McKenzie was on the other end of that table. I love Stacey McKenzie. I think she's brilliant. I was disappointed that she either didn't seem to be given enough to do for season one of Drag Race Canada, or how she is. I mean, if you watched her on America's Next Top Model, I mean, she would call the models out if they were acting like brats or spoiled or clapping back at her. I mean, it's her job to tell them stuff. It's up to them to follow it or not, but they don't have to be rude about it. And this is the case, I think, with Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman. I never thought of him for race. I mean, is he a black man? Yes. But he's also a tall man. He's also a Canadian man. He's, there's a lot of things there that Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman is. And the last thing that I was really putting at the head of all of that was his race. The same with Stacey McKenzie, the same with Brooklyn Heights. I mean, the one thing I think that Drag Race Canada had going for it was Brooklyn Heights, a drag queen. You can be drag savvy. You can have a lot of friends that do drag, but unless you do drag, unless you know what that's like, unless you know what it's like to do another dismissive bridal shower or a bachelorette party or drunk crowd or just cars outside the bar going by and honk. Like, unless you experience that world, you really don't have a lot of room to stand on an opinion. My whole reasoning for kind of resisting Jeffrey out of the gate was I thought he was American. No, he's from Vancouver. And so the minute I heard that, I was like, perfect. Gay, has guested on the original series, so he has some inkling as to what's going on and how it all should go down. And he's Canadian. That's what we needed. I was so afraid that somebody, I don't know. I couldn't tell you who I thought was going to be a guest judge, but I went through the usual suspects of Canadian celebrities, and it scared me a little bit. So when they mentioned him, I was thrilled. Of course, Brooklyn Heights, I was thrilled because not only is she a drag queen, she's an excellent drag queen. And I have no problem with Brooklyn Heights telling any drag queen anything because of how good she is. And then Stacey McKenzie. It's hard, I think, for somebody who works in the world as a model. I think Santino had this problem in the original episodes of Drag Race, the 4 or 5 seasons he was on. But there's a level of real world application that doesn't really apply to drag. Yes, you can talk about proportions. Yes, you can talk about posture. All of that stuff is great, but you're also dealing with drag queens. Sometimes these things need to be pushed beyond the limit or ignored altogether. When Santino Rice was on the show, we didn't have the internet the way we do now. I mean, that's almost 10 years ago. It's 8 years ago. And we didn't have the bullying we had. We had it, but it wasn't the same. The fan base wasn't as large. Not so many people watched Drag Race back then. It was more of a niche audience. And now everyone's got an opinion, and clearly so. So I wonder how Santino Rice would be accepted now with his opinions. I have to tell you, when I heard Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman wasn't coming back to Drag Race Canada, I got it. I mean, I was aware that he was being picked on, and I remember the backlash. And I think I even chatted with some of my YouTube followers and such about it. And it saddened me to hear that he was picked on that way, beyond beyond someone's opinion, or somebody having a different opinion than he did, or having an opinion about how he did what he did. But I have to say, it broke my heart to hear he's not coming back to Drag Race Canada. And although they're spinning it to be, oh, he's doing this, oh, he's doing that, it's like, great, I'm glad he's busy. But y'all know he signed a contract. I think that they all signed a 3-year contract. So they were locked in for 3 years. Now, whether Jeffrey decided not to come back and negotiated his way out of the contract, or Drag Race Canada thought maybe it was a good idea not to have him back and negotiated him out of his contract, I don't know. I'm not party to that. It's not my place to know those things, and I'm not trying to know those things. But the bottom line for me is, with the bullying that Jeffrey got online, it's hard not to think that this choice that's come up of him not returning has a lot to do with that. And I think that's a super shame. The one thing we need to realize is this is a show. Everyone has a job. I'll bet you that Simon Cowell gets all sorts of hate emails and gets slagged all over the internet. But I'll also bet you he sleeps really well at night in his mansion with his millions, and he doesn't give a crap what any of us think. Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman's a different person. I don't know. He's younger. I mean, he's 36. He's older than I thought he was. I thought he was in his 20s. He looks good. But he's 36. He's closer to 40 than 30. And there's just a level, I think, of maturity and ability to accept things you can't control that a 30-something has mastered. And that's not the case with everybody. And I'm certainly sure when I was 36 that I probably said things without thinking. I mean, I do it now. I say things all the time. But RuPaul said something recently to Utica and Simone, and that was, if it comes from a place of love, then you shouldn't be worried. Well, unfortunately, all this bullying does not come from a place of love. And I certainly don't feel that Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman ever said anything except for love of his job or to do what he's being directed to do and all that. And it's just unfortunate. I, for one, would like to just send out a public apology to Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman for picking on wardrobe choices that may or may not have been his. The other thing I think I picked on him for sometimes was the makeup that he wore. Now, I remember not picking on him specifically. I remember saying, I'm glad to see a man wearing boy makeup, because why not? Makeup's fun. If there's one thing we've learned with the interweb and YouTube and influencers is that men look great in makeup, however they want to wear it, whether they want to look super hyper-feminized or not. And the one thing I loved about Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman's makeup was that it wasn't girly. It was more experimental. Some of it looked very fashion runway, like grungy, almost Pat McGrath-y, you know, a lot of like just splatters of glitter and stuff. And I loved it, but I couldn't in good conscience, as a wardrobe person, as a drag queen who sews for herself, as a person with eyes, I could not let those pants go, especially the first pair, those cheetah pants. Oh, I don't remember Brooklyn Heights ever saying anything too negative, nor Stacey McKenzie, but I do remember, I don't even know what exactly it was. I think it was to Alona Verley, something about size and proportion and what she was wearing. Jeffrey did say something. It came off as a little negative and body shaming and triggered a lot of people. And then we had to hear about that. And again, I don't follow that kind of comment thread on the socials. On Instagram, I'm rarely on Instagram, and I apologize again if you follow me. I try and post and I just, oh, girl, I'm tired. But it's it's just a shame, I think. I don't accept this bullying with the queens. I really don't. If you love watching Drag Race, regardless of what country it's in, what franchise, if you are having problems with the queen you picked not doing well, then you have problems with that queen. It's not about the other queens. It's not about somebody stealing their thunder or beating them in a lip sync. That's their job. They're all supposed to do that. The problem is you pick somebody who wasn't as good at it as somebody else is, and then you take it out on that person that's better. That's wrong. If you enjoy Drag Race, you should not be picking on any person participating, because they're all there to make Drag Race great. And the thing that doesn't make Drag Race great is this bullying, and I'm so sorry that it goes on. I don't support it. I don't let it happen on my channel. I don't encourage people to be negative. You can have an opinion and we can discuss something, but I'm not going to listen to you swear or call somebody out on something that is beyond their control. Seriously. But now we seem to be picking on the judges, and I wonder, is that why Michelle Visage seems to be nicer this season? As far as Drag Race UK 2 and season 13 are going, she just seems to be everything's with a smile. It starts with an encouraging comment, and when she says something negative, it's not bitter or angry. It's just, she just seems to say it nicer. I've always loved Ross's opinions. He's very educated in what he's saying, or at least his opinions come from a point of view. It's not just some random word salad falling out of his mouth. Carson Kressley, on the other hand, I think that sometimes he can be quite flippant and glib, but that's Carson Kressley. Is he my favorite judge? No. Do I hate him? No, I don't even know him. Would I miss him if he weren't on the show? I don't think so, but I don't hate him being on it. There are times I miss Santino Rice, but I also, at the same time, remember not thinking that he was the best type of judge for Drag Race. I feel like now, because of that kind of harsh criticism, and I recently said something about another queen, and somebody just sent me a message saying, well, I thought that that was kind of insensitive of you to say that. And then they gave me the reasons why. And I was like, oh my God, it never crossed my mind. Whatever we were talking about, it had just, it's not something I've ever thought of. It's never come up in my life. So it made sense that I, of course, wouldn't have a better idea of what something like that would do to affect somebody's performance on a reality show contest. And we had a great conversation. I've actually had a few conversations with a few of, mostly on Patreon for sure, where people have said to me that, you know, this is this and that is that. And I really appreciate the education, the ability to share an idea and to share it without emotion. Like, oh, this is what you said. I heard this, and I think you need to consider that. Fantastic. That's how you have a dialogue. This whole Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman, I really do hope that Jeffrey is too busy to do Drag Race, and there was a huge problem about scheduling and they had to figure something out. I wouldn't want to hear anybody quitting a job, whether they liked it or not, because they were made to feel bad doing it. And I just want to say to anyone I've ever offended with a flip, ignorant comment, I apologize. I would like to say to Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman, I feel badly for picking on you by calling you bus pants. I didn't, in my mind, think I was picking on you. I still don't think I was picking on you, but in light of everything else that's going on, that went on at that time, I don't think anything I was saying was helping. But at the same time, I mean, let's all just be honest. I'm sure he never heard it. I'm sure that what I was saying was the least of Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman's problems. And in fact, I'm sure he still has no idea who I am or that I called him anything. But I do feel badly. I do feel badly for what I said in light of what has happened. And I would also like to just apologize to anybody out there, whether you're cisgendered, male, female, trans, I don't care. I apologize to any of you out there if I've ever at any time said anything that made you feel less than or undeserving of an experience like doing drag. I would hate to have that happen to me, and I apologize deeply to any and all that I may have done that to. So there you go. That's my word about Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman, with a side sentence or two about bullying and drag queens. I hope that you all take this to heart. If you've ever bullied anyone online and you don't feel bad about it, think about it. Just put yourself in that position yourself. If you were on a show that you really wanted to be on, and think about these queens, they get that call, you're on Drag Race. They lose their mind. They're thrilled. The last thing any of them want to do is to be bullied for it. Quite frankly, for anyone who's gay, especially us older gays, we were all picked on. We've all been bullied. We all know what that feels like. And based on that, we should be going out of our way to make sure it's not happening to anyone else, by us or anyone we know. And if we see it online, call someone out on it. Just call them out on it. Say, that's not right, that you've taken it too far, that's inappropriate. Don't pick on them. Don't do the same back. But just make a point of educating them. Take that opportunity to let them know they've done something wrong and how to fix it. Because short of that, no one's perfect. And we need to remember that a bit more. So there you go. That's all I got to say on that. Thanks for listening. Have a great day and miss me. Mwah.